Bob, we're here in Eastern Washington, and we wanted to talk to you about Riesling in particular.
Okay.
And that's got to be something that a lot of people are talking to you about, just because Ste. Michelle is now the world's largest producer of Riesling. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with your program, what you're excited about, what the 2007 Rieslings look like.
Well, it's my 5th harvest now, so it's been an amazing steep learning curve. As I came up to Washington 5 years ago, I didn't have a lot of experience with the variety. Coming here and now making more than, as you say, almost anybody else in the world for one facility, it's been fantastic. And we make up to 7 different Rieslings each year, from our dry Riesling that we now actually distribute nationwide. It used to be a small blend that we just made for the Northwest, and now we're actually taking it nationwide because we think there's a niche there for a drier style. That's been a fantastic addition to our Riesling portfolio this year. To our workhorse Columbia Valley, which is ubiquitous, and still love to impress people with our big blend, like we did at Riesling Rendezvous. As we mentioned tonight at dinner, one of the most amazing applauses we got was when we talked about the quality and size of this blend, and we're very, very proud of our linchpin wine in the Columbia Valley. And of course, Eroica with Ernst Losen, total passion for Riesling that he has comes across every time he comes over the ocean and makes that wine with us, and we can't wait. It's December almost. We're almost in December, and he will be here in about 3 weeks to make the Eroica wine, and that's always a pleasure. And then we have our Cold Creek, which is our kind of stalwart single vineyard wine that we have. It's more of a warmer climate, softer, more tropical style, all the way to our Indian Wells now, which is mostly from the Wahluke Slope. We make that in kind of more of a pineapple tropical style. So to have that whole array, including our late harvest botrytis and even a nice wine in the 2 out of the 5 years I've been here, just been a fantastic portfolio, and Riesling really does lead the way for Chateau Ste. Michelle.
Let's talk about some of the different areas in Washington where you're growing Riesling, because some of them wouldn't seem like Riesling country. Wahluke Slope's very warm, Cold Creek is very warm, but you're also getting fruit from some of the cooler areas that especially that Ernest likes to work with. So kind of take us on a little tour of Eastern Washington Riesling country, if you will.
Well, kind of tour starting from warmer to coolest would be certainly the warmest climates are the Wahluke Slope and Cold Creek, and those are the Rieslings we pick first. Those actually start the first couple weeks of September, and those do, because they ripen a little quicker and a little less acidity, tend to be softer, tropical, more mango and pineapple, and a little less of that kind of minerality slate that we're looking for from the cooler climate. What's fantastic is no right or wrong. It's all about style, and you talk about the overused term terroir. It really shows the styles of Riesling throughout Washington State that you can make. So you go from there to, say, the Yakima Valley, which is kind of the tried and true, the oldest AVA, some of the oldest Riesling vineyards are from the Yakima, and we have some wonderful, the Viewcrest is one of our caricature Eroica blocks, a stalwart Eroica candidate every year on the eastern side of the Yakima Valley, and those are old vines planted in a slightly higher elevation where the cold air just kind of sits in there, and those aren't picked until almost Halloween. So it really is, that's kind of the poles going from Wahluke down to Viewcrest. Now, some of the kind of up-and-coming regions, we have this vineyard called Evergreen, owned by the Milbrandts, and it is basically up in the George area, in the Quincy region. I believe they're going to look at a new AVA in the future, actually, up in that region. And it is also this white mineral soil, very cool, and it gets incredibly cold into October when I start walking that vineyard. And the Evergreen Riesling is literally the last Riesling that we harvest every year at an incredibly reasonable sugar at about 21 to 21.5 Brix. And last year that was about almost a third of the Eroica blend came from that vineyard. And we have, the Jones family also has a vineyard called Two Gun up in that same region. Very similar, actually even slightly higher elevation, and it also makes that wonderful high acidity mineral style that we're looking for more of that Eroica or the dry Riesling style. So those are some of the key. Horse Heaven, still also again, very, very old vines. It's where all of our late harvest wines come from, is Horse Heaven, and a lot of them do make it into the Eroica blend too, because of the age of the vines and the intensity of the fruit coming from the north side of that block.
Do you see pushing even farther north, or are you finding the areas that you like now?
No, we'll keep pushing. I mean, we'll always keep searching. We actually got about, last year in 06, got about 400 gallons of Riesling from Lake Chelan. There's a tiny enclave of growers up in these regions. And I think as long as we are Ste. Michelle, as long as we are searching all over Washington, we will keep looking for for these out-of-the-way places to grow Riesling.
I suspect the acidity on that Chelan fruit, it had to be pretty exciting.
It was big. It was big. It was about 9 grams, and it was a wonderful, slaty, and that Chelan Cellars Riesling, where that came from, is making a wonderful Riesling up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else to add about Washington Riesling that's got you excited right now?
I think the excitement is that the variety itself is red hot. That is the fastest growing variety in our portfolio. It's one that is both entry level, wonderful to people just getting into wine, but it's also for the connoisseur. It's turning Riesling on its ear in terms of knowing it is truly a world-class variety, and we're really leading the way for the U.S. varietal here in Washington State.
Well, and that brings up another question for me. It seems like one of the downsides of Riesling is the misunderstanding of sometimes it's sweet and sometimes it's not. Mm-hmm. Do you think that there needs to be some evolution in the way Rieslings are labeled to give people a little more education on what's in the bottle?
Yeah, and ironically you bring that up. We talked about it tonight. Where I'm going down this end of this week to San Francisco to look at potentially the formation of a Riesling society, where one of the things we might be looking at is how could we help the consumer understand the perceived sweetness of a wine. It's not going to be easy because, as you know, perceived sweetness has so much to do not just with the number, but with the style of the wine, the acidity of the wine, the level of tannins in the wine, all go into your perception of how you perceive it. So it's not going to be an easy task. I'm not even sure we're going to be able to accomplish it in the short term, but it certainly, I think, in some respects would be good for the consumer to know what they're buying as they come to the store. Although we just need to buy Chateau Ste and they know they're going to get a great bottle.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Okay.